Hello. Welcome to Financially Savvy in 20 Minutes. We are doing a special podcast because it happens to be Mental Health Awareness Month, and 10/10 happens to be always Mental Health Awareness Day, which I learned that this year, which is really great to see that there's obviously more recognition on what's going on, not just within our health, but our mental health specifically. And I happened to do a Spanish episode with her, but today we're actually really cool. We had to redo it because of technical difficulties. Somewhere halfway through the English version of our podcast, somehow, I don't know, I lost part of it, so my producer was like, you need to redo it. But it worked out because now we're doing it from the coolest place in town on Hollywood at the Netflix campus, because there's actually a workshop I'm doing later today. And so first of all, Brandie, thank you for coming back, for being a part of this. And if you can tell us what you're about and obviously why you started LatinX, because I think this is something that many people need to hear what you're about.
Yeah, so my name is Brandie Carlos, and I'm the founder of Therapy for LatinX, and I started it February of, it launched May of 2018. I started it because in February of 2018, I lost one of my best friends to suicide, and I was really struggling with dealing with that loss. And when I looked online, I was looking for a therapist, and I really couldn't find anyone that looked like me. And I'm really tech savvy, so I figured if I'm having a hard time, how many people in our community are having an even harder time navigating it, especially the Spanish-speaking community.
Right.
So in my search, I did come across a website called Therapy for Black Girls, which was the very first database for people of color.
That's awesome.
And I was so excited. That was like the one thing that gave me hope. And I felt like, God, if there's this database for the Black community, I'm sure there's one for the Latinx community. But when I searched, nothing existed.
Wow.
So I went online and I checked if the URL was available, and when it was, I kind of took that as a sign that I had a divine assignment.
Yep.
And and that I had to create it because my background is in web design and digital marketing. And so I didn't know at the time how I was going to do it. I had like a $200 laptop. I was struggling with my mental health, and I didn't know one therapist. But I built the website, and then it really snowballed from there.
It's amazing to see the difficult times are sometimes what really defines who we are. And I met you right around this time that it happened. And for me, it's been such an inspiration. And more importantly, it's beautiful to see what you brought out of your pain. Because I know that's something you're still struggling with, right? I mean, when we lose people, I mean, gosh, last year I lost so many loved ones. And I'm still dealing with it. And I think it's beautiful that you took that pain and said, you know what, I'm going to help other people to not only cope with theirs as well, but hopefully find a solution, because many of us do go through that. And I think about that all the time. I'm like, if I go to a doctor and they usually ask, would you want a female doctor? I usually say yes, because she understands me. So the fact that you catered it to, I know it's not just for Latinx, it's for people of color. I think that's beautiful, because sometimes we need the not only the cultural understanding, but really we all grieve differently. Every culture grieves so differently, and I think that's something, especially within Latino cultures, we have how many days of mourning, how many days of getting together, how many days of doing these rituals and traditions in order to honor those, and especially when it's something so tragic and someone so close to you. So first, thank you for doing that. Secondly, can you tell me, I mean, this is a podcast about being financially savvy, about money, and a lot of it happens to do with our emotions with it, our money story, our relationship to it, and when we're dealing with hardships, mental hardships, it also affects our financial hardships too, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little, and especially for those that don't know you, that haven't followed you, I mean, kind of where your story came from as far as you have this entrepreneurial site. How did that start, and how is it that you're catapulted to where you are today?
God, I think it comes from my upbringing. Like, my first business was selling like Mexican candy and Pokemon. Like,
Love it.
That's how it all started, like out of my backpack. And I think the drive behind that was just seeing my grandma work so hard. Like, I remember she worked at a bathing suit factory, and so she would get up when it was still dark out.
Wow.
Leave to work, come home. I don't know how, but she would come home. And by the time I came home from school, there was like food ready.
Right.
And she picked us up from school.
Yeah.
So I don't know how she did all of that. But seeing her struggle and like work so hard made me, from a really young age, want to give back to her.
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard you speak at a keynote for We All Grow. That's where we officially, no, we had met a couple times prior, but that was like the first time I heard your story. And I remember you mentioning dealing with the imposter syndrome. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of us, especially when you're an entrepreneur, or especially when you're a person of color, what was that for you? Like, what made you think not only do you have it, but are any things that you had to still overcome?
Yeah, well, for me, I think that was a constant one for a long time because I had to drop out of high school for financial reasons, actually. Like, my grandmother and my godmother, who were raising me, went on a trip to Mexico, and my godmother ended up being really sick, was in a coma for 2 years, so my grandma didn't have the money to come back and forth. So at one point, it was like my senior year, I had started working at Starbucks, and the lights went off. My brother and I kind of got by because I would take home the leftovers from Starbucks at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's how we got through that time period. But I essentially had to drop out of high school to like pay the bills and take care of him and I.
Right.
And so being someone that like I don't have a college degree, you know, especially not an Ivy League college degree, going and being a part of the whole startup space sometimes feels like there's people that have a huge head start, right? Like if I allow myself to get caught up in it. But when I look at the difference that I make in the community, and I look at like, even though I didn't go to college, I love learning.
Wow.
I love learning. I have over like 300 books at home.
I love it.
I'm always reading and like taking classes, and so education is really important to me.
Yes.
And so I try to focus on those things.
I love that. And
Yeah.
do you remember, and I know we had talked about this before, do you remember the first time you got paid? Maybe it was a side hustle, or it was the first job, but how was that feeling?
You know what? I've had so many side hustles that I don't remember the first answer that I gave you. But what's coming to mind is like my freshman year, I started sewing and making like purses, like the ones that everyone's selling on Instagram now with like the strap. And so I remember taking them to school, and I would sell them in my lunch.
Okay. Oh,
to
wow.
like my friends at school. And like I remember that year when you know, usually you get like one pair of shoes per school year, right?
Yes.
My grandma didn't have to pay for my shoes that year.
Awesome.
Like I was able to buy my own. Yeah.
So you're already an independent woman. I love that.
Yeah.
You know? And sometimes it's finding those scraps or finding something that you can create out of nothing function. I mean, that reminds me of my grandmother. One of my favorite stories from her was, I remember walking the streets. We grew up in Inglewood, and she would tell us, she's like, we live in the most fortunate country in the world. And I'm like, what? We're in Inglewood. Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, just look at the streets. The streets is full of money. And I go, what do you mean? And I'm a little kid. And she's like, I'm like, what? There's pencils, there's dimes on the floor. And she's like, no, look at this. I'm sorry, I asked her, what is it? The dimes, the coins? And she goes, no, there's pencils and pens on the floor. And she started saying, she knew how long it took her to not only raise enough money while she was a kid working at 8 years old to buy one pencil. And they would, you know, it was 15 cents, who knows, in the 1940s. And she would use that pencil till it got to the point where you can't use it and there's no eraser. And she's like, you can not only create, you can write, you can draw, you can send a letter. She's like, you can teach yourself math with the pencil. And she's like, and you find and all the time I see brand new pens and pencils on the floor, and I always remind myself of her. But she was teaching me that you can make anything out of, literally people might throw their trash away. But it's something that I think always stick with us, and the fact that you had someone in your life like your grandmother that showed you how to hustle hard, but more importantly showed you that you can come up with anything. I think that's crucial for people that are listening to this. Sometimes, especially in hard times, we have to come up with places to make money, and you did that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that story, because I know that's not always easy. But how would you relate to, especially those that are possibly dealing with some mental issues, whether it's because personally they're going through depression or anxiety, or they've lost a loved one? What are maybe some tips that not have only helped you cope, but can help you cope with your money process, because all that is connected?
Well, you know, for me, I got to a point where I realized that there was a huge connection between anytime I felt depressed and my bank account.
Oh, yes.
So anytime I felt depressed, like my money wasn't good, you know? And so I realized, like, okay, from a place of responsibility, how can I be proactive about making sure my money is good, right? Knowing that, hey, you know what? Finances are a trigger for me. And when my money is not good, like, my mental health is not good. So how do I set myself up to win? And I started learning about like passive income and figuring out like different
Yes.
ways of making money, especially, like, I'm a huge Gary Vee fan. Like, if you follow him, like, he talks a lot about, like, flipping things. Like, he goes to garage sales and will buy stuff and flip it.
Yep.
Even, I love going to thrift stores to buy books because I just like getting, like, really cool covers or things like that. And so if you go to thrift stores and you buy books for, like, 50 cents, $1, you can flip them online. There's so many different ways to
Now
make
we have
money.
online stuff too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can use OfferUp, Craigslist, whatever you want to use. There's always ways to make money, and I love how you're saying that is being resourceful.
Yeah.
Before we end, obviously, let us know how people can connect with you.
Yeah.
But so you just mentioned Gary Vee as being a resource for you. Is there like a particular book or a resource that you has helped you deal with your money, or something that you're reading now?
Oh God. You know, a really good book is called Overcoming Under Earning.
Oh, I love that.
And I can't think of the author's
It's okay,
name.
we'll put it in the show notes.
But that book was really eye-opening. I liked it because it had a lot of exercises.
Love it.
And there's a lot of, like, big financial experts that actually became financial experts because of that book.
Yes.
So,
awesome. And so how can
yeah.
people contact you?
So you can find me on, well, the website is therapyforlatinx.com. Same handle for Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
And she's a guru for social media, so anyone that's watching this and has this stuff, I'm always constantly learning from her, because I'm like, I'm the least tech savviest person out there. So thank you for being here again, and thank you for redoing this. But I'd love for people to connect with you, and thank you for continuing your mission, because it is an ongoing struggle, but I think it's something beautiful that you're creating for our space too.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you on the next episode.